What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel, and I have been waiting to talk about this game all week long. Just have not got the opportunity to sit down properly and record a video, but we're here now. We're doing it. It is a massive showdown in the Pac-12 conference. We've got the Oregon Ducks. We've got the Washington Huskies. College game day is going to be there. Josh Pate is going to be there. Everyone is going to be there. It's a top 10 showdown and a huge marquee matchup in the Conference of Champions in what probably is going to be the Pac-12's final season. It's going to be a fun one from Seattle, and we're going to dive into it here in just a little bit. But I got to take care of some business first. My apologies. Just want to thank you guys for the support the channel has seen as of late. The biggest way you can help show your support, if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when videos get uploaded. But there are more ways than that to help me support this channel. You guys are doing one of them right now just by watching this video, and you guys can gladly do more by liking, commenting, sharing, and anything else you guys may be willing and or able to do to help me support this channel. But enough about me. Let's go ahead and dive on into this big-time matchup here. So both these teams enter this game undefeated. They're 2 of the 14 undefeated teams left around college football right now. And, I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than this. The old Pac-12 North rivalry here, Oregon and Washington. I mean, I don't really have much more to say about this one. So let's just go ahead, dive on into the stats that both of these teams have put up so far this season. And you know what? When you take a look across the board, especially offensively, these two teams are very, very comparable. We'll talk about the defense when we get there, but let's go ahead and take a look at the offense. Oregon has put up some of the most impressive offensive numbers of the college football season so far. Look, they're over 200 yards on the ground. They're over 300 yards passing, over 550 yards total, over 50 points. They're 50% on third down. You only have 1 turnover. You've only allowed Bo Nix to be sacked 3 times here. I mean, this is just an Oregon offense that is firing on all cylinders, and Bo Nix is looking like a very, very dark horse Heisman contender right now. Definitely not at the forefront in a lot of people's minds, although I'm not sure why, because Bo Nix has played really, really well so far this season. 1,459 yards, 80% completion. No, you don't have to rewind. You heard me right. 80% completion percentage, 15 touchdowns, 1 interception, as mentioned. He's only been sacked 3 times. He's got a ton of weapons out there at the wide receiver room. Troy Franklin being the biggest one there. Gary Bryant, Tez Johnson, Trayshawn Holden. There are so many great weapons in this wide receiver room, and the running back room is getting it done as well. You have 3 guys that are averaging over 7 yards per carry. Leading the way with that is Bucky Irving, Jordan James, and Noah Whittington follow behind him as well. And even Bo Nix hasn't had to do as much with his legs this year, but he's been able to flash the ability here and there as well. 4.6 yards per carry and a touchdown rushing there for Bo Nix. I mean, this is an Oregon offense. I mean, the points are just flying from every single angle, and it is a defense that, especially when you compare it back to last year, is much, much improved. Maybe not forcing as many turnovers as some other teams are throughout the nation, but they've been able to force turnovers, but they've also been able to create pressure. 18 sacks so far on the season for the Oregon Ducks. That is a absolutely phenomenal number. 3.6 sacks per game. This is a team that loaded up, especially on transfers on the defensive front, and it is paying its dividends right now. That is a very, very impressive number. They've been really good in the run defense. The secondary has stepped up, made a couple huge plays. 4 interceptions, 1 pick 6, 22 passes defended for this Oregon defense, and they're just not allowing teams to score, period. This is an Oregon team that is just looking really, really well. They're also up there with Georgia and Michigan as being some of the more complete teams that we have seen so far across the entire country. But you go ahead and take a look at what this Washington team has done, and maybe rightfully so, Oregon feels a little bit disrespected because they maybe have flown a little bit under the radar, at least compared to the hype and the talk that the Washington Huskies are getting right now. Because you take a look at what Michael Penix and this Husky offense are doing, it is otherworldly. I mean, and I've said this before, Washington and Michael Penix have more weapons than the entire military. It is absolutely insane what Michael Penix and this offense are doing. Michael Penix is exactly 1 yard shy of 2,000. He has 1,999 yards, 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Much like Bo Nix, has only been brought to the turf 3 times, 74% completion percentage. I mean, this is an offense that is just absolutely playing really well. And while they have been able to run the football here and there, right? Both Dylan Johnson and Will Nixon averaging over 6 yards, or I should say averaging at the very minimum 6 yards per carry. It starts out with the passing attack. Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, Jalen McMillan, and even a guy like Jeremy Bernard have all stepped up, have played some absolutely huge minutes, and they lead, but maybe besides the Ohio State Buckeyes, although you could argue that's the best wide receiver room in the entire country. No question this offense is firing on all cylinders. When you take a look at the defensive side, though, definitely still some question marks to answer for this Washington Husky team. Now, they are not allowing teams to score. They're forcing turnovers here, and they've been able to generate some pressure here and there to quarterbacks. It hasn't led to a whole lot of sacks, only 6 sacks so far on the season. But this is a secondary that, yes, while it is allowing teams to drive down the field, those 8 turnovers, every single one of them have been interceptions. Yes, every single one. So this is a Washington team that, yes, while they are allowing teams to drive down the field, they take a look at that football and they take their chances and they make quarterbacks pay for mistakes there. 8 interceptions on the season. Yes, the third down defense could be better. Yes, the pass defense as a whole could be better. And while I think a lot of people are coming into this game trusting the Oregon defense a little bit more, man, this is the Washington offense that is very, very tough to bet against. It's very tough to bet against Michael Penix here. This is just going to be a phenomenal matchup. Lingering on the stat sheet for a little bit more, I mean, you go ahead and take a look. Pretty comparable here, and while I do trust Oregon's defense more, clearly by the stats and just by the eye test, just by the way that they've played, you can look at that, and I think almost anyone can say, okay, yeah, I give the advantage to Oregon's defense there. I heavily give, maybe not heavily, but I do give the advantage to the Washington Huskies offense. They are a big play offense. They like to take their shots, and while Oregon may be physical enough to be able to handle that, can that secondary step up, right? Can the secondary cover the wide receivers? Look, this is going to lead me into my what to watch for keys to the game here. Number 8 versus number 7. I mean, this is just going to be a phenomenal matchup. Here's what you need to watch for among many other things that I just couldn't fit on screen that you should watch for here in this game. But watch the quarterback battle. We are going to start with the Oregon Ducks, but I'm going to say this about both quarterbacks. I think both quarterbacks are going to have a heyday. Not that both these defenses are bad. I just think both quarterbacks know that it's going to take a lot of points to be able to win this game. Washington's going to look to outscore Oregon. Oregon's going to look to outscore Washington. Both these offenses are going to be firing on all cylinders, but talking about Bo Nix first, he is definitely going to make his Heisman case, and he is going to make the college football world know that, look, that Michael Penix guy you've been talking about, yeah, he's really good, but where's the love for me, right? Bodacious Bo Nix is going to be a front runner, maybe not front runner, but a true Heisman contender after this week. Bet on it. The pass rush is going to be key at creating pressure and havoc on Michael Penix and the very few times that this Washington team elects to run the football on this Oregon defensive front. Again, they loaded up here this past spring and summer and during fall camp. This is a defensive line that has 18 sacks on the year. They're performing really well in run defense. This is the Washington offensive line that's been pretty good so far. It's got to stand up against by far the best pass rush that it has faced all season long. But my question for the Ducks here coming in, I think we know the offense is going to drive down and score a lot of points, and the pass rush is going to get home. Maybe not often, but it is going to get home at some point in this game. Can the Ducks secondary defend the Husky wide receivers? Maybe besides Ohio State again, you could make the argument for this being the best wide receiver room in the entire country. Are the Ducks secondary up to the task? That's going to be something interesting to watch. Very excited there to watch that matchup. But when you take a look at the Washington Huskies, Michael Penix is also going to make his Heisman statement. He's made many Heisman statements here, but this is the biggest stage that not only Oregon but Washington have also played on so far this season. Penix is absolutely just going to continue to put up stellar numbers, and he is going to solidify himself again as a true top Heisman contender here in this game. I think both quarterbacks are going to have absolutely phenomenal days. Moving over to the defensive side, though, for Washington, the defense is going to need its best performance here. Again, this is an Oregon offense that's very, very balanced. They can run the ball. They've shown that. The offensive line is very, very good at both run blocking and pass protection. So maybe a little bit more pass than run from the Oregon Ducks here, but this defense is going to need to step up, and it's time for the secondary to step up, not necessarily enforcing turnovers again. As I've said, they've been able to force 8 interceptions so far this year. They need to step up in being able to slow down and stop Bo Nix and this Oregon passing attack. And this is just kind of a general thing for both teams here. You have to be better at controlling the outside, be better at controlling the perimeter. That's what both of these teams like to do. Washington likes to take deep shots downfield. They're really, really good at designing plays for having the secondary need to choose, right? So when you take a look at the way Washington schemes, they run 2 very deep routes, and it makes the safety choose one way or the other, and then they just throw it to the guy that's not covered. It's very, very simple. Washington loves to control the perimeter, and even if they don't throw the ball downfield, they love those quick out routes there to get them to the outside. Oregon likes to do the exact same thing. They like to control the perimeter with their run game, with those check down routes, but they're also not afraid to take some deep shots down the sideline in one-on-one matchups as well. So that is going to be really key here, right? Which team is able to control the perimeter better? Will it be the high-powered offense of the Washington Huskies, or will it be Bo Nix and this Oregon offense? I think that is ultimately what determines this game. Now, I trust the Oregon defense more, and if I were to just take a look here on paper, I'd say, wow, this is an Oregon team that clearly has the advantage defensively. Oregon should win this game. While I do believe that Oregon is more physical, and it's going to really help them here, and maybe they're able to force a turnover, I think this Washington secondary is going to step up. I think it's going to start playing really well. I do think it's also going to force a turnover or 2 here on Bo Nix. And you know what? It may very well come down to who has the last possession here, which is what makes this game so tough to predict. But in a very, very close, high-scoring contest, I'm going with the Washington Huskies here. I love what Michael Penix has done. I love this group of wide receivers. I think this defense is going to step up, and I think the Washington Huskies, maybe on a game-winning field goal, beat the Oregon Ducks in what could be one of the games of the college football season. This is going to be so much fun. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And hey, as always, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. See all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.